All right, good to see everybody. Obviously, it's been a busy week. We've got a big-time opponent coming to town. I'm really excited to see the city of Tucson show out for this football game. I think that's one of the things that we've gotten a taste of, in our last two opponents, of what it's like to play at Kansas State and what it's like to play at Utah. And obviously next week we go to BYU, but this week we get to play at home. And the special thing about playing at home is you share that with your fans and your friends and family. And I'm just excited to see the city of Tucson, our fans. I know the Zona Zoo sold out in less than a day. I'm excited for our student section to be rocking and for the Big 12 to get the experience of what it's like coming to play in Arizona Stadium. So I think it's going to be a big-time night here, and I can't wait for that. We're playing an outstanding opponent that is talented and extremely well-coached and plays hard. I got a ton of respect for this staff in this program at Texas Tech. So got a lot of work to do. The work's not done, but we're excited about getting to Saturday night.
How would you compare and contrast playing style with Texas Tech versus the previous two opponents, and how that's going to be different for your team?
Previous two opponents? I mean, they're all different, right? Like Utah and Kansas State were extremely different, right? With just so much quarterback run and just the general kind of physicality that Utah plays with. This team, obviously they're outstanding on offense. They have an extremely talented and physical running back, which comes with a great run game. They're a tempo offense. Their quarterback is incredibly efficient. He can make all the throws, surrounded by a good receiving core. I think when, different than, the teams that want to huddle every snap, these guys are going to be on the ball every snap. And, that's something that's really hard to prepare for. Then I think defensively, this team is incredibly sound. Coach DeRuiter has been an outstanding coordinator everywhere he's been, and they're got good players on defense. I really respect, those guys are outstanding at doing their job and playing hard. And I think, anytime you start with those really sounding simple things, it gives you a chance to play good football. And so just a ton of respect for this outfit.
The offense obviously took a step forward in the Utah game, especially when you consider the caliber of the opponent, the situation, and all of that. But it's still a little boom or bust. I think you guys were 4 for 13 on third down, and the average to gain was 8.6 yards in those third down situations. How can you maybe be a little bit more efficient on offense and put yourself in more manageable situations?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think, important part with that is hopefully being more efficient on first and second down so that you're not in those big third down situations. And then also, playing Utah, I was so proud of our O-line not giving up any sacks, but some of those teams when you play, there's going to be some lost yardage plays. Everyone's good. Everyone that we're playing is good. So, that I think the efficiency on first and second down is absolutely critical to not put us in those situations where we're trying to convert on third and forever.
So what went into the decision for Rayshon Luke to redshirt this year?
I know you got to talk to him. We talked about it. This is a decision that he and his family made, and so we respect it. And he's going to be a great teammate and a great scout team player, and he's going to help us prepare every week. He's a great kid, and he's doing great in school, and so we respect it.
And then how do you look at the running back room and just the guys that you have available right now?
Yeah, well, I think we're all really excited about, Quali and Ked and what they've brought to the table so far. And then I think this gives a chance for, maybe Big Red to do some stuff, or even, Brandon Johnson. So still feel really good about that room. Obviously, we've been hit by some surprises this year, but it's next man up. It's it's an opportunity for someone else to get a chance to play and show us what they can do.
Kind of going off what you said about next man up, the ability to have a guy like Genesis Smith, Stoops goes down, Genesis steps in there, little if no drop off. Can you just talk about what he brings to the game and his ability to kind of step in whatever way you need him to?
Genesis is one of the most likable kids I've ever been around. Just incredible energy. You feel that from him the first time you meet him. His big smile and just the energy and the joy he plays with. It's how he practices too. If you come out to practice, Genesis always looks like he's having more fun than everybody. But then I also think that speaks to the quality of the coaching he's getting from everybody that's involved with our secondary, Dwayne Aquina, Brett Arcee, Chip Viney. I think everyone's contributing to that and his readiness to play.
Chip said yesterday that it was a character win against Utah. Coach Baber said the day before that it was a big deal, like bigger than a typical win. How do you sustain that momentum and make sure that there's no kind of letdown or drop off?
No, I think that's hard. I think, the difference, every week, for the people that have been in the Big 12 conference, they know all these teams, they know all these coaching staffs, they know all these venues. It's all new for us, right? So it's something that we actually have to totally get used to, right? Like Texas Tech has not been on our schedule since these kids have been playing here. You know what I mean? So it's a totally new opponent. And watching the film and seeing how good they are and making sure that we have a clear understanding of just how efficient they are in all three phases, like we need to bring our best game Saturday night.
What do you think was the biggest improvement that the defensive line made from the first 3 games to the last game?
That's a good question. This is, I think, my 15th year working with Joe Ciamalo at 5 different schools, I think. And we've always done a great job of getting in the backfield. That's always been a real strong suit of his defensive lines, whether we were at Cal Poly or at Oregon State or San Jose State. So I have just a ton of faith in him. And I think, along with, him working with Coach Gonzalez and all those conversations about just how we're going to play up front, I think we've really, we're making progress. And those players continue to develop. There's a lot of guys that are playing that maybe haven't played a lot, outside of maybe Trey and Tai, right? And so those guys are getting, they're getting their sea legs a little bit, right? Like that's part of it. Some of those guys are playing their first college football.
Do games like these, when you face a Texas team or you face a team from Southern California, do you feel that these games have maybe higher recruiting implications, or is it just kind of, do you see like a direct correlation?
I don't know. I don't think you think of it in those terms, really, outside of the fact that because we're playing in the Big 12 now and we're going to have games in Texas, where like those players and their families that we're recruiting can get to those games, where it's, that part of it. In terms of like how we play in that game is really more focused on how important that is for our football team and us right now.
Coach, in terms of the defensive line, we talked a lot maybe the first couple of weeks about how there was a contain issue, but it seemed like some of the changes you guys made with personnel was on the interior with your defensive tackles. How does that maybe correlate to how you guys wanted to be better up front?
I think there's 2 separate questions there. I think really the contain issue was more focused on guys doing their job and doing exactly what they're asked to do, and not trying to make a play by like diving inside and making an inside move when they're supposed to be a contained player. I think that's the biggest part of it. In terms of the rotation, that stuff happens by some guys getting beat up, some guys being available, not being available, and so you got to get creative with where you put people, and so that's what Coach Ciamalo and Coach Aquina and Coach Gonzalez have been doing, is they're talking about how we're going to play defense up front.
What do you see when you look on tape at Taj Brooks and what he's able to do with the workload that they give him?
The guy's a total stud. You know what I mean? He's big body. He runs hard. They give it to him a lot. A lot of what they do is hard because it's in tempo. You know what I mean? And so, they get you running, and then they hit you with, some sort of run play that's with a really good player. So they do a great job of utilizing him and giving him options to make plays for them.
You talked about the up-tempo offense for Texas Tech kind of being on the ball and ready to go. How important is time of possession in this game for you guys and really any team that faces Texas Tech?
I think that always factors in when you're playing against a tempo team. You know what I mean? And sometimes it plays out that way, and then sometimes it doesn't matter. It really all just depends on how efficient you are at moving the football when you get a chance to, right? That part of it. And then, are you able to score points? And so, I think like any, good football team that you play, like you have to play good in all three phases if you want a chance to win.
Last question, Caden Luke, you mentioned him a little earlier. He got his first carry in the game against Utah. Someone who committed here to the previous staff as a walk-on. You carved out a role for him as a fullback, but he also rushed for over 2,000 yards for a state championship team his senior year of high school. How did you just kind of size him up, assess him, and what do you think he brings to the team?
Well, I think, watching his high school tape, his high school tape is so fun to watch because he's so physical, and he's one of those guys that loves playing football. And I think that's one of the things that you're trying to identify in today's day and age in recruiting is, does this player love football? Because I think a lot of young men love getting recruited, but they don't really love football. And you're trying to identify that in the recruiting process. And there is no question the Big Red loves playing football.
All right, that's our time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.